Good morning. We are extremely pleased that you are here. It is good to come together for the purpose of co-creating. Do you agree?
Yes.
You are ready to take thought beyond that which it has been before?
Yes.
You are enjoying your leading edge place?
Yes.
You like to gather together with your non-physical friends? Getting into the vibrational vantage point where you allow yourself really to be who you are? You are enjoying your human perspective. You are understanding that your human perspective can always include your broader non-physical perspective. That it is not one or the other. You do not have to stand here in your human form apart from the source that is you. In fact, your intent was to come forth, open your physical eyes, open your physical senses, and allow who you really are to pour through that perspective. What a delicious moment in time that is. You are extensions of source energy. And you said from your non-physical vantage point, I like very much the idea of being on the leading edge of thought. And I want to go forth into a physical perspective where the variety of other creators and perceivers will enhance my own ability to perceive. And you said, I am not going forth with the intent of getting them all to agree with me, for that would indeed be a boring and slow-moving environment. You said, I want to go forth and enjoy at least the idea of the variety of our perspectives. And I will work on achieving my new perspective in conjunction with the source perspective that is really who I am. You said, I'll test the variety always with an ear to the ground, so to speak, of how this new perspective that I am achieving resonates with who I really am and what I really know. I'll feel my way through this, you said. I'll feel my way through this experience. And so you came into this environment with this magnificent guidance system that lets you know in every moment you're in this moment, which is where you feel your emotions, in this moment, relationship with your source energy. You knew that you would have this barometer that would let you know how much connection you were allowing or resisting to that source energy. And this connection is so important that we are calling this gathering the art of allowing, because it is talking about the art of allowing that connection or the art of resisting that connection. And some of you make resistance as much as an art as we are wanting you to make allowing an art. In other words, you practice your resistance. That's why you get so good at it. And we're wanting you to practice your allowing because that is really what you're wanting to be good at. You're wanting to be so good at being this physically focused, human creative genius who is in every moment that you can muster, allowing who you really are to flow through you. And when you are achieving that, you know it because you are feeling love in that moment, or appreciation in that moment, or vitality, or invincibility, or enthusiasm, or passion. You're feeling the fullness of who you are focused right here in this moment. That's what you had planned. And so we're here just to help you develop some processes for always tuning that up. We want you to remember who you are. And we want you to hear from our vantage point today that when you're angry, you are not who you are. When your feelings are hurt, you are not who you are. When you are defensive, you are not who you are. When you are feeling vulnerable, seeking protection, you are not who you are. You are who you are when you are sure-footed, and when you are clear-minded, and when you are full of energy and passion and enthusiasm and love. That's who you are. Now, we don't want you to be mad at yourself in any moment you find yourself not really being who you are. Because when you get mad at yourself for not being who you are, guess what? You hold yourself longer not being who you are. In fact, we've noticed that the thing that keeps you, most of you, more disconnected from who you really are longer and feels worse while it is happening is your attack on self. When you conclude, by virtue of what others are reflecting to you maybe, or maybe just what you are feeling yourself, when you start beating up on yourself, feeling ashamed or unhappy with yourself because you are not doing better, that is about the strongest point of disconnection that you can achieve, because your inner being adores you so. And when you are choosing something other than self-adoration, you are really picking a bone of contention with your inner being. In other words, you are really saying, I am choosing exactly the opposite perspective that I really am. So as we're moving forward here today, we want to assist you in not being so mad at yourself when you find yourself, oh, you students of deliberate creation. In other words, you say, I want to be the creator of my experience, and I know that I am. And I know that I am creating my own point of attraction, and I know that the emotion that I feel is my indicator that I'm doing that. I know that how I feel is my indicator of what I'm doing with my vibration. And here I am feeling pretty rotten. And so I think now I choose to be really mad at myself because I'm not in control of the way I feel. And what we're wanting to say to you is, give yourself a break and talk yourself gently out of your funk. Bridge yourself into a better feeling vibration. And so we'll talk a lot about that here today, because we want to point out to you that when you are feeling despair, or when you are feeling grief, or you are feeling that deep depression, when you are in that place that you really don't feel good, and it is compounded by the fact that you know you could feel good, and you begin to say to yourself things like, I should feel good, now you're really in that place where it's hard for you to find your footing. And what we want to say to you is that the reason it's hard for you to find your footing is because law of attraction says you can't find a vibration that's very far from where you are. And we think that what goes wrong with so many of you is that in the depths of your despair, somebody's convinced you that you should be able to find some bright, happy, bushy-tailed, lollipops and roses thought. And we're wanting to say to you, you don't have access to them right now, and it's all right. Don't decide failure because you can't find one. Instead, just reach for the best feeling thought that you have available to you, which from your place of immense depression or from your place of very strong grief, any of those negative emotions that's been compounded by your time and attention to it, your best route might be to just find somebody that you can get really mad at. And only you know that you've actually found a remedy, because only you knows that this hissy fit of anger is a big improvement from the suffocating depression. Only you know that you've made headway. So when you walk into the room and you display your anger, and some bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, connected Abraham student says to you, you should get happy, and you want to kill them on the spot, we want you to know you have our agreement. Because they don't know. They don't know how you feel. They don't know where you've been, and they don't know the progress you've made. They don't know the triumphant success that this anger means. They don't know. Now, we are not wanting you to stay lost in that anger. We don't want you to beat the drum of the anger so much that you make it the art of anger. We just want you to give yourself a break by saying, anger was a better feeling thought than this suffocating depression, and therefore I am improving. And now from this place of anger, I may have access to aggravation, or I may have access to irritation, but I won't go from anger immediately into self-loathing. They're not vibrationally equivalent. This anger is an improvement. And I am proud for having made it. And in your giving yourself a break, and in your giving yourself consideration for having made some improvement, now your vibrational anger has softened still further. So what we're saying to you is, you have a chance of getting from anger to feeling good. A better chance of that deep grief all the way to feeling good. So anger was a bridge, a well-chosen bridge, and don't let anybody tell you different. In fact, don't talk to anybody about it. Because they won't get it. Nobody else knows. You were born with your own personal guidance system to help you make the best decision that you can make moment by moment, and nobody else gets to make it. You interact with one another, and you want them to tell you what to do sometimes when you feel lost. But every time you turn it over to them, it gets worse. Because they don't know. Only you know. You're the only one who can feel the barometer between who you are and who you are. You're the only one that can make that bridge. So no matter how much you believe in the one you live with, or how much you believe in the one you work for, or how much you believe in the guru you come to hear, they don't really know. Only you know. So our encouragement is that you set forth a new determined mantra that goes like this. I've decided to be one who makes the best of things. I'm going to make the best of it. And once you make that decision, you'll catch yourself sometimes making the worst of something. You'll catch yourself deliberately making it worse because you're trying to make a point, or deliberately making it worse because it was easier sometimes to make it worse than to make it better. In other words, once you've been beating that drum, those are the thoughts you have access to. Once you're in a negative place, it's much easier to remain in that negative place. There's no resistance to being negative when you're negative. In other words, it's like water flowing downhill. It's easier to be negative when you've already been negative. But when you make the decision, nothing is more important than that I feel good, and I'm going to start today by making the best of things. Then when somebody brings information to you and you can tell that they're deliberately trying to stir something up, you'll hear it, you'll recognize it, but you won't pick it up. You won't add to it. You won't let it get a hold of your vibration. You won't carry it further. You won't beat the drum of it. You won't become a vibrational match to it, and later on you won't hate yourself for having become a vibrational match to it. In other words, the self-loathing that is so rampant around your planet is because you know you're supposed to feel good. You know that you are love. You know that you are God force. And when you're not being that, you don't take it very well. And it's natural that you don't take it very well because it is such a divergence from who you really are. You're not supposed to take it well. It's not supposed to feel good when you put your hand on the hot stove and you are destroying your hand. That's not supposed to feel good. Your sensors are there to let you know it doesn't feel good in the beginning stages because it's not going to feel good in the later stages. Your guidance system is the same way. Negative emotion is your indicator. You really don't want to stay here because you are in staying here resisting the well-being that would be there otherwise.